Welcome back to the PI show. Before the break, we were talking about a court case in Victoria, which was an armed robbery at a service station, Mrs. Norris's case. Interestingly enough, Tony, the armed robbery was in December 99, and the court case concluded in June 2009.
That's a long time.
So it's 10 years of
long time.
where she would have been on weekly payments, you'd presume, given her injuries.
20%.
Although she
was 50, Harry, so it was 20% of her life.
Yeah.
Even that would have been a stressful event for her, a 10-year.
A 10-year.
Exactly.
And the court ultimately awarded her $200,000 for pain and suffering and about $400,000 for loss of income, but she has to repay back all the money she's received.
Yeah, you can't be compensated twice.
Yeah, so all the money she's received on weekly payments
Yeah.
and any money she's received under 98C, no fault benefits
That's if
for
she
pain
got
and suffering.
Because she would have to get 30% from
Yeah.
a doctor or panel.
Yeah,
Which
so
is-
that might not
Who
be
knows,
relevant,
it's
but
possible.
she would have had to pay back all the weekly payments she'd received out of the $400,000 for financial loss.
Just on that point, Harry, that's why when these claims settle out of court, they usually settle on the basis of an amount plus retention of benefits received.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whereas when you go to court, what you've
the
already
judge-
had's got to come off.
yes,
so that people
in
won't
the
get
final
confused.
orders. Yeah, but look, the next case we've got is a case in New
Hodges.
South Wales of Mr. Hodges, who was a truck driver who injured himself, I think, unloading, and ultimately, again, liability was admitted.
Unsafe system of work.
And he had a right shoulder injury, and he got back to work in alternate work. However, one of his complaints to the court and to the medical practitioners was he loved truck driving. He was 40 years old. He loved truck driving.
What's your theory on that, Harry?
Well, he enjoyed it. He was out on the road. He was listening to country music, probably.
This
An
is,
excuse not to be home.
He could have been away from his wife.
look, I mean, that's a very valid point. That's a clear case of adjustment disorder. If someone, a loss of, sometimes people's jobs are their lives. So losing the ability to drive a truck and be out on the road and listen to his country music, may have been significant for him. So that may have started to affect his mood. He may have become depressed. He may have hated his new job.
You're talking about work environment. You know, his environment is his truck.
Absolutely,
Music
that's right.
in the
Now he's
background,
having to work with people.
Observing the countryside.
Exactly. So it is a psychological diagnosis. So adjustment disorder is sort of the inability to adjust to a new reality. So.
Well, ultimately, the court did award the sum of...
He got another job, didn't he?
Yeah, he got another
He did.
job.
What was he doing?
In an aluminium fishing boats. He was
He's working on boats on an assembly line. So it was an indoor process working job, and he was a bit frustrated.
Claustrophobia as well.
But he was frustrated, and look, loss of a vocation or a job is a significant indication of some pain and suffering, and as you say, adjustment disorder. The courts do take that into account
That's right.
in considering whether people have a
And
serious
they
injury.
are very well paid, these truck drivers, aren't they, Harry? So,
No,
What do you mean no?
I don't think they are.
Well, interstate truck drivers get paid okay, don't they?
I don't think they are.
Well, his indoor job wouldn't have paid him as much.
No.
No, well, probably
Yeah,
not.
yeah, it
That's
would have been
right.
equivalent.
So
they're
that's
poorly
part of
paid,
the reason
Tony.
why he liked the trucking job, because it was paying more than what the boating job was.
No,
Okay.
they're poorly
We're not
paid.
comparing you with him, Harry.
No. But look, truck drivers, interstate truck drivers do it hard,
Okay.
and they have shift allowance, and they have all sorts of bonuses. But when you look at the work they do, the hours they work, and the shifts they have to work, in my opinion, it is they struggle.
As
They
Maurice said-
struggle recruiting
As
people.
Maurice said, they love doing it. It's got to
Yeah.
be.
Well,
that's
a lot of people have
The
a
love of
passion
the
for
They
it.
do, yeah.
And he did. So that's a factor in coping with, if you like, an injury and work after an injury. So
How much medication was he on? Was he taking much?
Well, it doesn't actually really say that he was.
he was taking some medication,
I
but
think he had a lot of psychological counselling and therapy. That's the impression I've got.
yeah, but he'd had a physical injury as well.
Yes, he did.
We're highlighting the
Yep.
psychological
Yep.
parts of the case, which were that he
Well, they've
lost a
said-
job that he loved.
Do you know the judge allowed him another $5,000 for future treatment?
Yeah.
It's a New South Wales case,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you just don't continue to get the treatment. You've got to make an allowance for it.
Yeah.
So,
but you've got some tips.
I do. I've got some tips for people how to cope after a workplace injury. I think the first thing is obviously go see your GP if you haven't already done that, and get some medical advice about what you need to do about your physical condition if you've been injured. If it's a psychological injury, then if the GP doesn't suggest it, ask the GP to be referred to a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and have a plan. Often people that are injured feel a sense of uncertainty, so having a plan about how to move forward is
and shouldn't
really...
they speak out and not keep it bottled up? That's half the
Well,
problem with
that's
most
one of
these
my
people.
next points, and that is, talk to family and friends, and try and keep those lines of communication open. Try and keep life as normal as possible. If you've been injured and you can't do something, with your right arm anymore, that really starts to affect people. So to try and keep life as normal as possible. Look at your thoughts. Are you focusing on the negatives too much? Are you avoiding, the positives?
But look, if people are at home, they're on medication, it's a terribly, terribly distressing period.
Absolutely.
And there's some uncertainty, we see it often, about court proceedings and court cases.
But that's all the more reason to be focusing.
I think, in some ways they're in limbo. Once a court case finishes, it brings some finality to their lives in terms of the legal part of it.
It gives them some security too, Harry, because if they get some sort of financial compensation for what they've been through, at least they don't think it's totally hopeless.
Well, it takes some pressure off people financially, but it doesn't always take pressure off.
But often that process of actually going to court is long. I mean, the previous case was 10 years.
10 years.
So that's another 10 years. I'm not saying all of them are 10 years.
No,
I don't think.
we
I haven't seen too many of those.
Right,
I've never run a case over 10 years.
No, I think it'd be a disaster.
No,
yeah.
But that too.
We try and
keep
cases resolve things quickly.
Reasonably quickly.
Yeah. So that.
And that's taken an injured person's situation into account. You want to do it quick for that reason.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. The quicker they can move on with their life, the better the better it is, emotionally for them, and also, that they can get another job or return to work.
Family situation. You don't want the family to break down because that usually happens too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Look, there's a lot of that. I've seen a lot of marriages and families break up because of this.
Causes problems for children and all sorts of things.
Well, it does. If someone's in chronic pain, they get grumpy, they scream at their kids,
and
yell at their wife.
Maria, what about treatment and medication, or both?
Look, I think, again, it's a case-by-case scenario, but sometimes both is necessary depending on the severity of it. But in the first instance, you need to consult a professional. And then they can determine what's needed.
Harry and Maria, this is one sort of topic that you can talk forever.
Yeah, that's right.
And we're getting to the point where the producer tells us to sort of wrap it up. But I'd like to thank Maria for coming on board, Harry, and also maybe we can get her in again in the future because it's just such a broad area.
It is.
It's never ending, and we can discuss all sorts of things. Maybe we can throw some questions at you another time. So. Look,
that'd be great.
I'd like to thank you for coming on board again.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Maria.
It's
been very enlightening, and we think that it's important that we look at the psychological part of injuries because
it's becoming more and more prevalent.
Especially injury lawyers, we see it all the time.
That's right.
We find it, dare I say, sometimes hard to cope as well. But really, professionally, we've got to give people legal advice. We often say to them that they should consult a professional.
Harry, I don't want to cut you off, but we're going to go to a sponsors break. So
and after the break, we're back.
Viewers, stay tuned. We'll be back very shortly. Thank you.
Thanks.